Welcome to Corner Case. You're in the hobby corner. We've got some special guests today. We've got an army showcase. Let's get going. Roll the intro. Welcome to Corner Case. You're in the hobby corner. My name is Deck. Not your only best friend today. We have two more best friends in the hobby corner with us. We've got...
Hi, my name's Dylan. This is my beautiful Crimson Fist army that I brought today.
And we've got...
This is Patrick, but actually Sandeep.
No, this is Patrick.
Kind of set myself up for that one, didn't I?
Yeah, and Sandeep, you're a little bit you're being a little humble today. Sandeep is our local overlord, aka TO. So everyone praise and love him. We've got this Crimson Fist army. Tell us, Dylan, who are the Crimson Fists?
So the Crimson Fists are a successor chapter of the Imperial Fists, which is one of the initial legions of Space Marines in the lore. They're founded by Alexis Pollock, who was known as the Crimson Fist, so aptly named. And they are actually one of the original Space Marine chapters. They were the guys front and center on Rogue Trader, which is the origin of Warhammer 40,000.
Awesome. So cool. And how long have you had this army?
Oh, too long. I originally started collecting Crimson Fist specifically probably when I was in middle school, so like 12, 13.
Oh man. So are some of these models actually from that time?
Yes, in fact, a lot of the firstborn Space Marines, like Pedro Cantor, the Stern Guard behind them, they're actually metal, and not the fine cast you get nowadays for those sculpts.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so tell us a little more about the lore. Like you mentioned Pedro Cantor. Where are the Crimson Fists located?
So they're from a place called Loki Sector. It was originally a sector infested with orcs, and originally the Crimson Fists were a fleet-based chapter, so they didn't have a permanent homeworld. But once they cleared out the Loki Sector of all the orcs, they were given a planet to call their own and a fortress monastery. And then there was what we call the Incident.
Oh boy.
Yes, basically their home planet Rindsworld was attacked by an orc Wa, which is sort of like a crusade but much more green and burly. And during that Wa, they attacked Rindsworld, and through a cosmically unlikely accident, one of the fortress monastery's own missiles basically 180'd and blew up the entire fortress monastery and killed most of the Crimson Fists.
Oh my god, I did not know that.
And actually Pedro Cantor was at the fortress monastery at the time and somehow managed to survive. Pedro Cantor being current chapter master of the Crimson Fist. And so basically they are a chapter that's always been on the brink of annihilation, but have always managed to survive.
Ah, like the Lamenters.
Yeah, like the Lamenters.
So what are the Crimson Fists like as far as like how they fight, how they interact with the general populace on Rindsworld?
They are a Codex compliant chapter, so they follow all the rules Daddy Guilliman gave out. They're also Imperial Fist successors, so they're very stubborn. They are masters of siege warfare and standing put. They're actually one of the few Space Marine chapters that aren't total assholes to the general human populace.
When you become transhuman, a lot of these Space Marine chapters seem to kind of forget who they're fighting for.
Yeah, and you can't be wounded on 1, 2s, or 3s, which is also pretty nice.
So do you play this army a lot?
I did for a while, but then I started working on my other Space Marine army, which is another Imperial Fist successor, the lovely, holy, angry boys, the Black Templars.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so I'm kind of on a Dornian kick right now.
Yeah, it seems like we should have started the video with maybe like a "Oh my holy emperor of mankind."
The first time I saw you with this army was actually at one of my events, and it was just right up there with one of the best painted ones. You take a closer look, you can definitely see all the attention to detail, and most importantly, all of the Crimson Fists.
I mean, it wouldn't really be Crimson Fist if you didn't have a red hand.
Was your painting this good when you first started the army? Did you ever have to repaint anything?
No, I didn't repaint anything. In fact,
Nice.
I made it a point to try not to repaint things because one thing that you can get into a habit of is sort of this idea of like it's not perfect and fiddling things to death. And so actually while I was doing this army, I had to teach myself to stop.
Wow.
To say it's done.
That's a really healthy mindset, I think.
Yeah, I only recently got to that point, so
Yeah.
it definitely makes things actually progress instead of just sticking in the past.
And also what's nice is that you can actually see your progress through your models. Like, for example, the Terminator Chaplain up in the front there is actually one of the first characters I painted. Then the Jump Chaplain over here on the left is like one of the last characters for this army that I painted, and you can see a noticeable improvement, and that's okay. Like, I'm okay with some things being better painted than others.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
So you called out a couple of the units. What went into how you selected which units you wanted to get and make this composition? Because it's kind of spread out more than like skewing into a
Yeah, so for this army, what I really wanted to do was first use up all the models that were just sitting in my case, not being used when I was a kid, because I loved collecting and assembling models. I hated painting. So I made it a point to actually paint what I had. So that's what a lot of the like the firstborn Space Marines, the Terminators, like most of that is from my old collection. And then I want to add in a couple of the new stuff just because new toys, I want to play with it. And that's what you see with like the Intercessors, the big old Redemptor Dreadnought, and so on.
Cool. Yeah, I really love seeing the full complement of Space Marines around, because too often do people just go veer into a specific direction and just like have all Dreadnoughts or just all jump pack guys. It's nice to see like the chapter repping all of its members.
Yeah, that's actually that's the philosophy I take when I make my armies is I like variety. Because first off, it kind of future-proofs a little bit because things get better, things get worse. If you vary more stuff, then you're set. Also just, I don't know, variety's the spice of life. I want to try out different things. Like, if I get like 6 Redemptor Dreadnoughts and then Games Workshop decides to make them crap, then I'm not really out very much.
And I noticed you don't have any tanks.
Yeah, so part of that's because right now in the game, tanks for Space Marines aren't all that great. And also, I just didn't really have space for it in the list because I designed this to initially be just a 2,000 point list.
Yep.
That's how I designed it.
Oh, okay.
So, like, I didn't go over much.
Wow, you sound like you really built this thing with a lot of discipline. You decided kind of like what you had and what you needed to add to it, and you just built like a 2,000 point list from there.
Yeah, basically. What I initially did was I just started from what's the 500 point list I want? What's the 1,000 point list I want?
Whoa.
And what's the 2K list I want? And I made it so that the 500 is in the 1K and the 1K is in the 2K.
Wow.
For you aspiring hobbyists who are trying to get into 40K, this is the healthy way to do it. You don't need to start at 2,000 points. You should start small, grow it up slowly, figure out what you like and what you don't like, and then build off of that.
Let's get into like the meat of your army here. Like hobby-wise, what are you proud of? What are some unique things that you've done here?
One of the things I'm proud of is the conversion I did on the Lightning Claw Terminators. They're originally actually Terminators from Assault on Black Reach.
Okay.
So they had a Power Fist arm and a Stormbolter arm. And I wanted to switch out the Power Fist with a Lightning Claw. The problem is I didn't have shoulder pads for the Lightning Claws, and the arms for the Assault on Black Reach Terminators was all one thing.
Yeah, it's built in.
Yeah, exactly. So what I did was I literally just shaved off right below the shoulder pad on the Black Reach Terminators and then just slapped on the other half of the Assault Marine Lightning Claws.
Wow, that's so nice. And you can barely even tell. I can't even tell at all, actually, until you told me.
The best conversions are the ones that look official.
Yeah. The secret to that was actually keeping the little power cable on the back.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually why, huh? It's in the details, man. It's in the little things.
Yeah. Also, another thing that I'm really happy with is when I originally started my Crimson Fist, I actually was very hesitant to use a very bright gold. As you can see, I mostly keep it to sort of like a bronzy, like more undertone thing. But then for my Jump Chaplain, I actually decided, you know what, let's just play around with gold. And I discovered the joy of just shiny metallics.
I do love shiny stuff myself.
Yeah, you can see that like later on, I actually did use more shiny things again on the Lightning Claw Terminators.
I mean, if it's going to be on anything, it's that Crozius, man.
Oh, yeah.
That's where to do it.
Have you encountered any like big painting issues or hobbying issues when you were building up this stuff?
Yeah, there's actually one really big mistake I did. For my Plasma Inceptors on the right here, I actually ended up using too much varnish. It was my first time spraying varnish, and I just completely used too much. And everything got cloudy. The stands were basically opaque, and I got really upset. And it wasn't until my fiance actually just sat me down and went, calm down, put a little alcohol on a Q-tip, and just literally just wiped it away.
Oh my god.
And now you can barely see it.
That's so awesome. That's such a great moment too, that you can like kind of share those frustrations with your fiance, and she like understands and was even able to help. That is, you've got to keep her there, man.
Well, that's the idea. It's surprising like how much outside help you can get from people who aren't technically like in the hobby, but just have a little know-how.
There's definitely a lot of crossover of different artistic things, or like just things people have picked up in life.
So are those actually the Vanguard veterans?
So it was
the
Assault Terminators that donated the Lightning Claws.
Oh, my bad.
I did actually think about just using standard Space Marine Lightning Claws, but the sizing is a little different because Terminators are so chunky. And speaking of the Vanguard veterans, those are actually all old Assault Marines I weren't using. And actually, something I'm a little disappointed in is some of them they were actually partially painted, and I did end up stripping them and repainting them. But I kind of wish I kept the old paint job just as a little reminder of what little Dylan painted back in the day. But say that be.
Yeah, I love the storm shields on them because they're so understated, which totally makes sense to me for such a practical chapter. Just trying to get the job done with limited resources.
Yeah, and again, getting like secondhand storm shields is not easy. So again, I turned to conversion of the combat shields that come with assault marine kits. And also just the big tower shields are just Imperial Guard tank treads with like some bits snipped off
Whoa,
of
Very
really?
cool.
Yeah.
Dang, you're really creative and scrappy, man. I'm liking that.
Yeah.
And I agree with Sandeep on the design choice there. Yeah, because it's totally like in design language, but it looks more practical. I have to agree. I don't like when the storm shields are like super ornate. I mean, it's not about practicality. It just seems it kind of pulls me out sometimes.
Yeah, and also you can see a little bit of my attempts at freehanding with trying to do different markings on each of the shields, and then the hazard striping on the sergeant's shield.
Yeah, they pulled that one off of one of Perturabo's boys, right?
Yeah. Ripped it off and smacked them with it.
Definitely.
Yeah, and also what I really love about my painting is that most of this army is dry brushed.
Okay, nice.
Nice.
It was just very easy and fast to do, and as you can see, the results speak for themselves.
Yeah, I think the dry brushing's been like the hot new topic on YouTube lately. Dry brushing, actually secret weapon?
I mean, it's just an easy way to get a lot of things done quickly.
Well, I mean, hey man, when you see a full army, and when I've been to the store, I feel like your army, whichever one you brought is usually one of the completely painted ones. It makes a huge difference. Oh my god.
Yeah, but also I still think that like no matter what level of paint a model is at, like it's good. The fact that you even painted at all is something to be proud of.
Yeah,
sure.
For sure, man. And speaking as someone who loses a lot, it's a lot better to lose to a fully painted army than a gray one.
I mean,
I feel personally attacked.
and I can't help but agree.
All right, so as far as painting goes, one of the things that most people have a serious debate about is helmets or no helmets. I personally picked an army where there are no helmets, so I don't have a choice.
I think that depends on your point of view.
Yeah, alternates kind of have chitin on their heads. But in your case, I see that you have a good mixture. How did you go out deciding on that?
So originally I was of the camp of only helmets because it makes no sense to not have a helmet on. But then it was that and also a sense of hesitation to paint faces because they always seem difficult.
Agree.
And so with a lot of my firstborn stuff, like the Tactical Marines and the Stern Guard veterans, they don't have helmets except for the one sergeant, which was my first attempt at actually trying to paint a face. And it turned out all right. And it really showed me that I shouldn't be afraid to paint faces. And so then I actually deliberately started adding helmetless models to my collection just to try it out.
Nice.
And unfortunately, I don't have it here, but I've been experimenting with different skin tones too.
Oh yeah, I mean you said you have the Black Templars army, and I know they had a couple more styles in there, not only like hairstyles but phenotypes.
Yeah.
It's a big galaxy.
It
There's
is.
bound to be some variation.
Yeah. Although, speaking of skin tones, I do love how the skin tones of my Tech Marine and Servitors came out.
Oh yeah, the pale white. It really shows how lifeless they are and just slaves to the machine.
Yeah. nothing that a blue wash can make things like nice and dingy.
Nice
Yeah.
move. Where did you learn that?
So, honestly, almost everything I know is from painting tutorials from our Lord and Tooth and Paint Savior Duncan Rhodes.
Oh, yes,
Nice.
tooth and coats.
Yep.
My lord.
Yeah, I literally just, before I even started painting, I just watched his videos because I found the process interesting, and then eventually I gained enough confidence to just try it myself.
Yeah, I definitely spent a lot more time watching the videos than actually painting. They're just so enjoyable.
Yeah, and like, it's just pleasant, you know? I don't know, it's just a case of, there are resources out there that you can find that just show you how it's done. There are resources for any level of painting. There's the simple dry brush to the fine edge highlighting. And yeah, just practice, I guess. Just keep at it. It also helps if you're actually invested in the models you're painting.
Yeah.
Which also goes into the collection because, I picked up a lot of these models because I think they're cool.
Yeah.
Like, I like Dreadnoughts, like most people do. I like Terminators. I thought the Inceptors were a cool design, even though people have opinions about Primaris Marines.
I like the skates. The air skates are sick.
Yeah.
That's a really healthy way to go about it.
Yeah.
And it's so cool to think that like you've had this army for like a decade now, and to see like the variations in paints over time, the way you've like still made it work. you've contained the collection rather than just like rampant, uncontrolled collection without paint. They actually see play. You're like doing it the right way, my guy.
Thanks. Yeah. As far as not being too blooded with models, having a very stern partner helps. It's always nice to have someone keep tabs on you.
Yeah, for sure. My partner doesn't really know. She'll be like, "Is that new?" And I'll be like, "What are you talking about?"
Nah, she knows.
It was a pre-order from like 2 years ago. The money's already been gone for a while. Don't worry.
Yeah, in fact, I even made a point to try not to buy any new mods until my current ones are painted for this year.
Oh yeah, that's everyone's 2022, man.
Yeah,
It
which
seems
I
like the hype thing.
technically broke, but it was one Emperor's Champion. We don't talk about it.
Well, it's just one guy.
So what you're saying is my faith in humanity has been diminished.
I mean, you don't need me to do that for you, to be honest.
That's right. There's enough atrocities happening in the Imperium to make me feel that way.
So actually, like speaking of atrocities in the Imperium, have you ever played this army with like maybe like a guard or any other army mixed in?
No. And in fact, one thing I was planning on doing is pairing these boys up with my Black Templars, just because, you know, they've actually, in the lore, they've actually fought in the past, and they've even, like, swapped insignias in a crusade or some other.
Oh, my holy emperor.
Yeah, basically. But again, I'm still working the Templars, make sure they're all prim and proper and ready to purge the alien, the heretic, and the mutant.
Were you planning on doing the Templars, or like...
Actually, yeah.
Okay.
So, when I was originally collecting my Crimson Fist, I sort of came into possession of some of the stuff from the Indominus box set, namely the Assault Marines and the Blade Guard vets.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was painting my Crimson Fist, I ended up taking a break from painting them and painting up some Black Templars, because I like Black Templars.
Yeah.
And then that sort of spun into its own army.
Oh, wow. So are you going to last wall protocol at any point?
I mean, I was thinking about it because as soon as I started painting Crimson Fist and Black Templars, I now have a strong desire to collect Imperial Fists.
Yeah.
And then I looked at my only Space Marines and look at all the other armies I want to collect, and I just sort of sweat a little bit.
I think you've got a good variety, at least even between the Crimson Fist and the Black Templars, from a play style standpoint.
Yeah.
All right, so that was our first army showcase on the channel. Really big thanks to Dylan and to Sandeep for being here today. Thank you, Dylan, for bringing this awesome army here.
And thank you for showing it off. I'm really happy to see it out in force and people enjoying it.
And you guys really push like really positive culture out to our audience here. You know, like you have this army that you've been collecting for a long time, but you were disciplined about growing it. You're disciplined about painting it. It actually sees play. You know, this is a really great army, and your experience is something I think everyone can learn from. And also, you know, Sandeep, thank you for also pushing that culture of, you know, telling people that, you know, this is the healthy way to collect, and also for continuing to organize events, man. Hope you have fun at LVO.
Do as I say, not as I do.
And with that, I think we'll close out with the, I think we'll make this a tradition, the Crimson Fist battle cry.
Raise your left fist.
The chaplain will normally lead the call.
There is only the Emperor.
He is our shield and protector!
I am ready to subscribe again.